Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to New Life Live. Really glad that you're here today. March the 3rd, what a great day, and I'll be celebrating a little anniversary tomorrow. May not be in tomorrow, just for that reason. So anyway, Milan and Chris Williams are here. Milan, Yerkovich, Chris Williams in the studio in Lake Forest. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi Steve, and happy anniversary tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much, and
March 4th.
Probably wouldn't be getting to experience that if it wasn't for you. I mean, there's just no question. You've been such a big help to us along the way. Now, here's something I want to talk about because somebody suggested that we talk about. You're going along, you're having some difficulties, you're having some struggles, and you think you got it together, and you just think everything's going to work out fine. But sometimes we really need to stop and say, that isn't always the case. We can end up with some problems that get out of hand because while they were manageable, we didn't take them seriously, or we didn't do what we needed to do. It's kind of hard to get people to act until the crisis occurs.
So what you're saying, Steve, is that we want to be observant and proactive so that we can somehow see or measure our decline or measure the progress of whatever it is we're feeling, and then do something about it before it reaches a catastrophe or a crisis.
I would hope so.
Well, you know, guys, one of the biggest surprises that should never be a surprise, but it was for me, was that when, as I'm growing up, I'm becoming an adult, you guys are helping me with that a little along the way, that I have to steward myself.
Oh, steward myself.
Yeah, steward. Yes. So, like for instance, a fruit of the spirit of self-control, and what I've really wrestling with, and really trying to take more seriously because of some medical issues I'm dealing with, is that self-care looks a heck of a lot like discipline. It looks a lot like self-control. It looks a lot like growing up and being an adult and doing adult things and taking the stewardship of myself and the gift that God has given me and to the world very seriously.
Well, now I agree with that. That is totally awesome. But one of the things you're using to be able to do that, one of the skills that you've developed in order to be that good steward is self-awareness.
Yes.
Without self-awareness, you can't do an assessment. Yesterday, Kay said to me, my engine light's on. And I said, well, let's go look. Well, that engine light is supposed to say something. It's on alert.
Yeah.
And but many of us don't have a dashboard upon which we look for our own personal emotional life. So your self-awareness is saying, okay, I feel this, I see this, I sense that.
Yeah.
And I need to be a good steward of me. So what do those things mean?
Yes. Well, I think a good dashboard can actually be found in how we love, and it's called soul words. Those emotional words, those soul words, help us gain awareness of what's going on inside of us.
I would agree.
And you know what else?
What else, Steve?
If you don't have self-awareness, it's embarrassing because people see you. You don't think they see you, but they see you. They see the manipulation. They see the compensation. They see you. And I think it's important sometimes for us to stop and say, ooh, I think they see me. And then we get the help to develop the insight. When we have insight, it might lead us to heal a hurt or to solve a really big issue that we've been dealing with. 1-800-229-3000. We'll take a break, and we're going to go right into those phone calls right after this. Very glad you're with us today. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop March the 27th. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Workshop will be held online Saturday, March 27th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you are with us here today. Gift of any amount we will send you. Understanding and loving a person with depression. And I wish it was named Understanding and Loving a Person that seems like they're in a bad mood all the time. Or they seem like they're chronically sad. Because sometimes we're hesitant or reticent to give that word depression over to somebody, but that is what it is. So any gift of any amount, that's what I'm going to send to you. And then also don't forget this Saturday, we've got Every Man's Battle coming up. All right, let's go to the phones. And how about we talk with Todd from Tampa, Florida, and he watches us on YouTube. Hey, Todd, how are you today? What's going on in your life?
Hey, well, thanks for taking my call. I'm glad I found you guys on YouTube. So I'll kind of cut to chase. I've been married for 17 years, and my wife and I are currently temporarily separated. And part of that is I have been emotionally abusive. And so as I look through research, especially over the last couple of months, as I try to drill down into books, because when we got married a number of years ago, like, I want to love her and adore her and uplift her, and to look at things and realize over the last couple of months, couple of years, I have not done that for her. Like, that's just very, very crushing for me.
Yeah.
But so what I want to do is I want to make changes. And again, in the limited research that I've done on literature, a lot of it is, well, if you're an abuser in whichever shape or form, like, majority of folks, they don't change. And so advice just seems to be, if you stick it out, fine. If you don't, maybe that's best. And again, I guess I'm looking for some
what's the question for us then? Resources.
Some tools or some resources or recommendations, because I honestly want what's best for her. I want what's best for our family, and I also want what's best for me. I mean, if I have some of these tendencies, like, all right, I need to learn some new behaviors.
Okay, so you've got this stuff going on. What have you done, if anything, to gain some insight up until now? And I'm really glad you called us and allowing us to give you some help. What have you done to this point?
I've tried to do a bunch of research, just reading some books on emotional abuse and that sort of thing. One of the things that it seems to be a trend in some of those books is, again, depending who the author is, you kind of get different definitions and all that sort of thing.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question. Why have you, I mean, you read books and research. Why have you never said, I need to go get help from a person that's trained in this area? Because you're a smart guy. You know a lot of people could help you. You listen to our program. Why haven't you ever done that?
I think some of this is I'm finally catching up to some of the reality of this. I am seeing, I am meeting with a counselor and have been for probably 2 to 3 months now.
Okay.
I don't know, and I probably should ask the question, if he's got some expertise or specialty, in this particular area. But I've identified just a lot of internal things. I mean, I tend to look at things as kind of the glass half empty, and so part of that was trying to work with him to improve self. We've met with a marriage counselor a couple of times, and Lord willing, those will continue as well.
So,
Let
Todd,
me just-
Todd,
go ahead.
Can I ask a question? What is the definition of I'm emotionally abusive? What do you mean by that? And is it your observation of self, or is this something your wife is telling you you are?
These are things that she has shared with me, and as I step and view her concerns, I 100% see her concerns. For example, I'm overly over controlling, as far as one of the concerns has been kind of a double standard of sorts. So, for example, if I was gave a phone call, say, "Hey, I'm headed home from work," and then let's say I get waylaid in a meeting, and so I don't come home per our agreed upon time. She just kind of rolls with that. She's flexible. If you flip the script and she's out at an activity and she calls and says, "Hey, I'm on my way back," and she gets waylaid. Well, when she gets home, like, I get a little upset or kind of exercised by that, and that's not fair. That's a double standard.
Well, but you see,
there's just a lack of fairness there.
Right, and there's a history there. There's a history of being told something and then something else happens before you ever met your wife. There's a history of not being told the truth. There's a history of something where you couldn't count on something happening, and on the inside you all of a sudden get afraid, you get scared, and then you become controlling. That's where you need to do your work. What is driving this bus of the double standard? What happens when she's late? What do I feel? And odds are it's a series of unpleasant feelings, and those unpleasant feelings make you lash out at her. And that's where you really need to do the work.
And it's a little troubling to me.
Okay.
If you're a therapist, if you're not saying to this counselor, I'm abusive to my wife, and you're just trying to gain a little bit of insight, then I don't think that person's going to be able to help you if they don't know what's really going on at home and what you've been told by your spouse. Chris, you have some thoughts here?
I mean, I just to piggyback on, what Milan was saying is that, Todd, both you and your wife had hard and difficult experiences before you knew each other's name.
Mm-hmm.
And what that has done is created a lot of fear. And the fear shows up in these really unhealthy ways. I would make the argument that you're not the only one that happens to in the marriage. And so understanding, and I call it reverse engineering our fear, meaning like I need to get into my fear and then follow its trail to the pain point. And once I follow it to the pain point, then I can start working on it and developing new ways of dealing with things that are scary or things that are uncomfortable or things that I don't like. And I would make the assertion that working on yourself is going to be a little bit limited right now. Or not that it's bad, but I would recommend couples therapy that works in this field that we're talking about, called attachment and emotional focus. Because what I want your wife to be able to see is your internal world, and what I want you to see is her internal world. Milan and Kay have these two questions, and I call them like back pocket questions. I always want them in my back pocket, and that is, what are you afraid of, and what do you need? Because that really gets to the heart. It gets into the hard issues pretty quickly if we allow it to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And so another thing that you could do is, I'll send you How We Love. It's going to give you some great insight. But you could say to her, let's at least do this workshop thing. Let's at least go and be part of that when we do How We Love again in our Intimacy in Marriage Intensive. So I'll send you How We Love. I want to encourage you to open up to the counselor, but I really think Chris is onto something here. You need couples therapy. You need I think it's your best hope if your wife would be willing to do that. And sometimes we just say, if we're going to walk away, if we could just at least have 6 sessions together, before we totally walk away. Sometimes in those 6, or often I think in those 6, you find some insight that maybe wasn't there on the part of the one that's ready to leave.
One of the most beautiful things about couples therapy is to the counselor, if they're trained well with couples,
right,
they can watch the reactivity between the couple and therefore begin to draw some conclusions or deductions as to what's happening, and then enlighten the couple as to what those reactions are.
Yeah.
Many couples don't. They feel the escalating power struggle and the reactivity, but they don't know what causes it.
Yeah, they don't know what's underneath it.
Yeah, and you just wonder, when we're talking to Todd here, and he's upset when his wife is late, we wonder if he was ever left alone as a child, or if he never knew when his parent was going to show up. Or I know a person who was so anxious about being on time because she was in preschool, and her mom, she was the last one to get picked up every day.
Oh, boy.
At preschool, and it's a sad story, but she would just look out of the window and just long to see the headlights turn into the parking lot, and her mom would be, the staff had to stay late just because the mom was late, and this young woman that was in my office had current day anxieties about people being on time.
Yeah.
And you just say, well, a lot of these things started a long time ago, just like you said.
Yeah.
Before I ever knew the name of my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little tidbit. Life makes sense. This stuff doesn't just come out of nowhere.
Right.
It makes sense. There's a source, and that's what we love to help people get to. All right. Let's go to Sandra. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WFIL is that station. Hello, Sandra. How are you today?
Hello?
Hi. Hi there.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
How can we help today?
Okay.
Thanks for calling us.
Well, I'm going to thank you. Thank you. I listen to you all the time. Listen to you when you were Minritz and Meyer Clinic. But anyway, many years ago, I have a daughter, and I cheated on her father, and I'm not proud of that, but I need to tell you the truth. He was a gambling addict, and he really had no relationship with either one of us. It was always, he was always gambling and at the racehorses or at the casino. I subsequently divorced him, moved in with a man who I loved very much. About a year and a half later, he died, my ex-husband. So my daughter was, I think, traumatized on 2 levels. First the divorce, then the death. She has carried that now into adulthood. She's mean and nasty, and she's even that way when she has 2 of the most wonderful girls, and she's, pretty nasty with them, and she wants her way. She's extremely controlling. She has anxiety, depression. She cheated on her husband many times that he found out. Now he's divorcing her. She's overwhelmed because she doesn't want the divorce. But she's always been kind of the same with him, that controlling, mean, and nasty. And she wants everything her way.
Okay, so how can we help you or help?
Okay.
What do you help us here understand what we can do?
Okay, so then I had a son with my second marriage. My husband left me. He left me this time. He left me for a friend, which really wasn't a friend. So we were both shocked. So going back to my daughter, I wonder how I can help both of my children. I think they both have long-lasting issues with this. My daughter with the depression, anxiety. She's mean and nasty. She doesn't want to talk about things. She keeps everything in. I try to help my son. He married. He's with a woman who was a heroin addict. Right now they have a child. But he's not depressed or anxious, but he has ADHD. He smokes a lot of pot, even though he has a child.
So we've got a lot of issues
Neither
here.
one will take advice.
Okay. So let's see if we can try to give you some help here. Chris, let's start with you. What do you think? I mean, a lot of stuff being passed on.
Yeah, Sandra, I am so grateful you said that last comment. They will not take your advice. And you know what? That's true. And I don't mean that like there's something wrong with them. I mean, like, no, they don't need your advice. There's been a lot of relational chaos in your life and in their life. And behind that relational chaos is a lot of emotional chaos because for whatever reason, it's not safe. And so there's not a safe adult in the room to kind of be able to help your children walk through what's going on the inside of them. So right before the break here, I'm gonna kind of tee it up for the rest of us. But the best thing that you could do for your children is go to work on yourself. And I just want to, I'll just offer, and we'll get more specifically about what that means.
Okay.
It does have an impact when we tell kids that we see crummy stuff showing up. We're working on ours. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop March the 27th. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Workshop will be held online Saturday, March 27th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Chris was just talking about the need for her to work on herself, Sandra, and I know that's hard to hear sometimes, but Chris, go ahead and expand on that a little bit.
Well, Sandra, I don't want to minimize or gloss over the fact that the people that you love the most and the people in your life are in very hard, difficult, and sometimes desperate situations. But there's only one person on planet Earth that we can kind of have any control over, and that's ourselves. And I think, with what you've experienced with your first husband and in your second marriage and with your children, that this is very, very disruptive to you, and that other people's behaviors and other people's actions and other people's state of being gets to determine your state of being and your well-being. And therefore, your daughter and her anger, that she's acting out her pain, that then triggers your anger. I mean, you're calling your own daughter mean and nasty. And I'm not saying that her behavior isn't unsavory by any means. But so the resentment and the frustration and the anger and really all adds up to just being miserable. I can't...
Yes, I'm sad every day. I cry every day. I'm so lost, but...
Oh, yes.
And I'm remorseful. Very remorseful.
Yeah.
If I could take certain things back, I would, and I can't.
Absolutely. And so that guilt and that shame and that misery, God doesn't want you. He hasn't designed you to carry that. And so getting into your own therapeutic work, I would even recommend getting into a codependency group or an Al-Anon group that helps you work through unhooking yourself from the pain of other people and taking care of your own pain and working through that healing process.
All right. And, I want to just say this. Milan, do you have anything else you want to add to that before we move on?
Well, sometimes your adult children some of the most severe lessons are the natural consequences that are caused in adult life when someone says, I don't want to live with you anymore because you're so mean and nasty. Mm-hmm. And those natural consequences, if paid attention to, can also lead them, as unfortunate as they are, can lead them towards saying, I better work on something here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is what life does.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Steve, you were going to say.
Well, I was just going to say this. I did a whole message on this because my wife said it to me, and it's our anniversary tomorrow, so I'll honor her. She said, Steve, your solution is the problem. and that, if all of us who continue to have trouble with other people, kids, whatever, maybe we ought to say to ourselves, the solution I have chosen, whether it's distance or control or anger or manipulation or, in the previous caller, abuse, it doesn't work. And it's time for us to consider a different solution. It could be the beginning of a whole new way of living and some great change in the dynamics of the relationship. That's what I would hope for every person. All right, I'm going to send her How We Love. I think you're going to be amazed at the insight that you're going to get from How We Love. Guys, you pick the next caller. My call screener doesn't even work anymore, so go ahead and pick the next person that we could speak to.
Let's talk to Beth in Baltimore, Maryland. She listens on WAVA.
Okay, Beth, how are you today?
I'm okay, guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
I have a 29-year-old son who's always been ADD and always had issues, and it seems like he's always had at least a pot issue. Uh-huh. He's been in and out of jail most of his adult life. And last year, 2020, was quite a meltdown year for him.
Really?
I wind up, about 5 accidents. He had about 4 concussions, 5 concussions, stitches, attacks, you just name it. Anyway, I wind up taking him, my house caught on fire. Oh my goodness. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. So I wind up taking him into a stabilization place last year. Anyway, so just this past week, he wind up being into one of the homes, and he wind up leaving out of there. I won't tell you what he wind up doing, but because, it could be a court thing still.
Okay. So how could we help you today? How are you thinking we could help you?
Well, I just picked him up off of the hospital this morning, and I took him back to the same destabilization place, and then I dropped him off and I left. And he called me, and then they called me twice, and I ain't called nobody back. I don't know if I should call back or just, I feel guilty.
Yeah. We'll hear from Chris and Milan on this, but I just wonder what is the downside of calling back and finding out what it is that they want you to know. I would call back if it was me.
Well,
but we'll talk about this.
That they're going to say, "Come pick him up."
Yeah. I get your point, and we'll come back after the break and discuss that. Steve?
You are listening to New Life Live. Glad you are. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And you could even find out at that number about Every Man's Battle. It's this weekend. We'd love for you to come, or somebody that you love that maybe a sexual addiction or lust, pornography, something like that has gotten in the way of their love for you. This could be the answer. You call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And we'll be back right after this for more of New Life Live.
Most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Beth, and just really got a very troubled son there. And Milan, you were talking with her, and you said you certainly understood her reluctance to call back because of him. Maybe they're saying, "Come get him."
Well, Beth, I think your concern or your fear or the worry, I think, is very real, that they could say, come pick him up. What are you doing dropping him off here again? And I would just say, I would have to say to you, disconnect from him completely. He can't come home. He can't have his room back. He can't go to the refrigerator when he wants to. He has to.
I already did that.
Good. Well, then I wouldn't call back. And I don't know what's going to happen to your son, Beth. And then I don't know what he's been through in his life and the difficulties. What's that?
He feels abandoned. I'm the only one that talks to him in the family.
I know. And so it's a horrible place for you to be in. So you're in a catch-22. You're darned if you do and darned if you don't. Mm-hmm. But at some level, he still has a high dependency upon you, and yet his behavior, being in and out of jail all the time, getting in 5 accidents and having 4 concussions, shows high levels of irresponsibility. And how much do you keep bailing him out or being there, listening to him? He may need to learn that I have to develop relationships with someone other than mom, who might be able to help me.
He doesn't have any relationship. That's the whole thing. He's a loner, and I think he's bipolar from drug use.
Beth. So, what I want to maybe I'll set a middle road here. Here's what's obvious: your son has all of the symptoms of a life-threatening disease called severe addiction. Mm-hmm. It is life-threatening. Yep. Okay, so if he were to have cancer and says, "I just want to come home and not do anything," you'd be like, no way. I can't support your death. I can't support you, going down this road. And so the what I call the middle road is this. You will do anything for him in your ability. And again, you have to respect your limitations here, including financial limitations. I will do what I can to help you find the treatment you need, but I will do nothing that continues to support your addiction and the way that your mental illness is negatively affecting your life.
Right.
Okay, well, that's what I did. He was in a rehab for 2 months, and then they put him into a sober living place, and that's where he just walked out of there because, it's state finance. And then that's when he just did what he did yesterday and wound up back in the hospital again,
Yeah.
That's what I said. And then he calls me, and I pick him up, and I take him back to the same place again. I mean, I feel guilty.
And it's easy. You're going to work through that because you're mom. But that's where you want to get yourself into an Al-Anon group.
Have you thought about going to a recovery group for you where other moms are talking about this same situation?
I do. I talked to 2 other moms that kind of have the same drug addiction issues with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I my greatest fear, it's cold where I live right now. We're getting ready. I mean, did they call me to tell me to come pick him up? They can't take him there because of the COVID thing. And now he's just walking around and, he's going to, it's like, oh my God. But I don't want to call because I don't want them to say, come get him.
Yeah.
Because I can't come get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've already told him he needs to recover. And,
yes.
when, I don't know. It's like, I just cry. And this has been going on and off for 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm. So Beth, let me just identify with you for a minute. This would be the world's worst place to be as a mom.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to have a 29-year-old who's been acting like this for 10 plus 15 years. And you're trying to help, but you can't. And his irresponsibility and the guilt and the mixed feelings that you're going to feel of love and devotion to your own child, but then this grown man that's acting, irresponsibly, how do we manage that? I just want to say, look, your struggle is very, very real, and I just am so sorry. But what Chris and Steve
I feel like I fall short as a mother.
I know you do. How could you not? When our kids are having problems, I just talked to somebody the other day who said, my kid's having a problem and I'm blaming myself. And it doesn't always work that way. Some people actually just make...
what y'all started out with? Y'all started out the beginning talking about if they recognize the issue. He doesn't even recognize his issues.
Sure.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
and I think that he doesn't love nobody but himself.
Well, he doesn't know how to... Yeah, well, we can use a lot of different names, but the bottom line here is that I'm trying to tell you're between a rock and a hard spot. Now, I just want to emphasize one thing that Steve and Chris said. Being in a codependent group is different than talking to 1 or 2 moms with their with their drug problems.
Yeah.
Being in a real bona fide group with a true group leader and following a progression of education, which is a part of those types of programs, will strengthen you and give you courage. And then you'll meet other moms that are in the same place of deep struggle. And I just want to encourage you to get into an Al-Anon group.
I'll tell you, and when you come up against something like this, alone is a horrible place to be living. You really do need all the support and help you can get. I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible and then this workbook that deals with addiction and codependency. I think just the general workbook's going to help you if you'll work through it, and it'll give you some insight into your son too. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help. Larry Sonnenberg is in the studio. Larry, how are you today?
Steve, doing great, thanks. Hope you are too.
Yes, I am. What do you have for us here? You always have something good, or you make it up, and so I really appreciate that. No, you don't ever make anything up. But what do you have for us?
I've got a testimony from an Every Man's Battle attendee because it's coming up this Saturday, and I can't encourage guys any other way I know or any way better than to read a testimony from someone to help guys with all their anxiety, hesitations, reasons not to go, to overcome it and come. So here we go. Harry wrote, I attended hopeful but extremely apprehensive, knowing that this workshop wasn't going to fix this as much as I wanted that. I've spent most of my adult life addicted to pornography, and I had no idea I was addicted. During the second time I attempted to blow up my life, I realized that the only way to attempt to repair myself was to go to the workshop. It was very difficult, hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But I knew that if I ever wanted to have a life again, I needed to focus and stay engaged. I found that there are more men with the same issues and problems that don't know how to repair the damage that they've done. I now have a group of like-minded men that I'm accountable to and will support me. So,
wow.
That's worth a lot to have those like-minded men that will support me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the thing I love most about that is he said, I did something that was the hardest thing I ever did. He was willing to go through a process that was hard, but afterwards it yielded this incredibly positive result.
Yeah. I've often said when we did the physical workshops, I'd stand at the door and the guys would come in and I'd say, you've done the hardest thing. You showed up. And it's the same thing with going online. It'd be real easy not to click the button and go into that workshop. But you need that, guys, and we know you do. And ladies and gentlemen, for you that aren't thinking about coming to the workshop, would you please support New Life financially? Your gifts make a big difference in so many ways. And if you can give a single gift, that'd be wonderful. If you could join Club New Life. It's a monthly giving program. It's very easy to do. Our people at our call center are standing by. They can help you and tell you what it's all about, what it means, all the benefits. And really what it means is life change for a lot of people. Because especially during last year with COVID and this year it's continuing, uncertainty everywhere, but we know that your monthly gift is coming because you've signed up for it. So thanks for considering that. We are really appreciative of everybody who's been given.
Yep. Jeremiah 6:16 says, stop at the crossroads, look around, and search for the old godly path and walk in it. And we've got all the steps on the path. You don't just go so far. That path can take you to total transformation. But you have to call us. We don't know who's struggling. You call us. We've got people that want to help you. They'll give you direction. It'll be absolutely confidential. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That is the number. And if you can help us, we'll send you understanding and loving a person with depression. We'll be back right after this for a final segment here on New Life Live.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
Every Man's Battle, I fought it the whole week with my wife. Within 2 hours, you could have opened a book. It showed me where my life has been ever since I was a little boy.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online Saturday, March 6th. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
He said, this may have saved my life.
Every Man's Battle was a life-changing experience for me and a marriage-saving experience for me.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of 7 books, including Growth Has No Boundaries by Drs. John Townsend and Henry Cloud, Take Your Life Back by Steve Arterburn and Dr. Dave Stoop, and the Emotional Freedom Workbook. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Chris Williams, Milan, Yerkovich. Milan and his wife Kay wrote the book How We Love. They also wrote How We Love Our Kids, and it has changed even the way people practice their therapy. It's very, very helpful. If you've never had a copy, call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE and let us get you a copy of that. All right, how about Helen from Woodbridge listening on WAVA? Helen, how are you today, and how could we help?
Hi, how are you, Steve? Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. Thank you for calling.
I have one question.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome. How can I cope with infidelity?
Painfully.
That's my question.
Okay. When did this happen, and what happened?
Well, I was married back in 2007, and in 2016, my husband left the house. I don't have proof that he was unfaithful, but chances are that he was. We have been separated for 4 years, and this December, he decided to come home. And I, was willing to take him back because I love the man and because he's the father of my 7-year-old and because I'm a Christian woman and I believe that God hates divorce. But it's only been a few weeks, and my husband is at it again. He was, I found that an email to his ex-girlfriend saying something like, I miss thinking of you. I love you so much.
Okay. So
And
what's
I
the
don't know
question
what to
for
do with
us?
that
Because
information.
okay, what's the question for us? Be very specific. What could we help you with?
What should I do?
Okay. I'm going to start, and then I'll turn this over to Chris and Milan. But here's the deal. When you say God hates divorce, so I brought him back in, it would be like David saying, God hates fathers and sons being upset with each other. So the Bible says that when his daughter Tamar was raped by Amnon, the scripture says David did not talk to Amnon because he did not want to afflict his spirit because he loved him so much. So what David was saying is, I don't want to cause a conflict here, so I'm not going to talk to him. He didn't even talk to his son about raping his sister, David's daughter, Tamar. So when you said, I'm going to bring him back because God hates divorce, that isn't something that prevents divorce, and many times it causes it. And so now I would say to my husband, go away, and when you get help, then you can come back. But if not, I would like for us to divorce because there's probably a financial incentive for him to keep you on the line versus going ahead and getting a full-on divorce. So those are my thoughts, and I'll let Chris and Milan take it from here. Chris, you want to start off here? What are you thinking?
So, Helen, you said, how do I cope with infidelity? And I would say with that level of pain, you're not supposed to cope with it. We don't cope well with pain. It's kind of like the point of what we're going after in so many of our conversations is our pain is there to be healed as much as possible this side of heaven. And so the work that you need is not to deal with and cope with your infidelity that you're experiencing, but to get into a process where you can begin to heal it. But to Steve's point, to be able to do that, you can't heal an injury that keeps happening in real time, right?
Okay.
So
correct.
His harm to you is continuing to happen in real time, that's got to be eliminated for you to be able to fully engage in your healing process. So he can email this ex-girlfriend or he can email other women. He can't do it in relationship to you. And that needs to be a really hard line.
So I think you have
to talk to him about it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and you need to tell him it's not okay, that it's not working for you, and that he can choose you or he can choose someone else, but he can't choose both.
And I would ask this, and then I'll get Milan's comment. He moved back in. Obviously, it isn't because he knew he was wrong and he wanted to reunite with them. What was his motive? I would find out. Why did you move back in? You're not willing to give up anything. Do you have any idea why he moved back in?
Well, he said to work out on the marriage and that we were going to put it back together.
Yeah,
but
obviously not.
Obviously it's not, because you don't just, 6 weeks later turn around and start writing your ex that you miss her. I find that very harmful to me and painful, and I don't know what to do. I mean, it's been a history of not being told the truth, and I think that
he's not really. Go ahead, Milan.
Helen, did you tell him that, what you just told us, that I know about this and I don't like it? What's that?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
That's why I decided to call and get an advice.
Okay, so stop right there. That's the problem. You see, if you know truth and you know about his continued infidelity, even in terms of thoughts and emotions, and if you don't say anything to him, then that means that Helen is not standing up and representing as an adult to her adult married partner. And what he needs is someone to represent you, which is your voice, and you need to tell him this is unacceptable. Now, we don't have time in the show because the show's almost over, but you said, look, I love the man, and he's a father of my child, so I'm going to give up my voice and have him come back in the house. And then you say, now how do I cope with this? And we're saying, well, you can't. They're two competing forces. And so you're going to have to be very honest. If you want to work on this marriage, I found this email, and this can't happen anymore. And husband, what do you mean by you want to work on the marriage? What does that mean? What are we going to do? What is the work you're describing? And I would really pin him down to a plan. And he has to earn his way back to you, not just be given the red carpet and said, come on in. He has to earn his way back.
Okay. I'm glad that you called us. I'm going to send you Healing as a Choice, and I think that could really be of help to you. And let me just send How We Love also. That'll give you some insight here. But here's the thing. Often the thing that we don't want to do or that we hate to do is the thing that produces the result we need.
Right.
We don't want to confront. We don't want to present the truth. And yet, you do it. Now, this person has to acknowledge, oh, there is a person in there who has desires. I have to listen to that. And it's just so interesting when a guy is unfaithful, his wife really ceases to be a real live human being to him. Mm-hmm. People say, well, they just compartmentalize the affair. No, they compartmentalize the spouse. Yeah. They put them in a little box over here, and they live in the fantasy world or in the world of lust.
That's good.
If you need any help, we'll help you. But if you need some help, you call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to help you. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Milan. Such wise men. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Love to hear from you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.